Our relationship with BitGo is longstanding, in a really good place. We've watched the business grow. They've helped our business grow. And we have a really good relationship there, and we have a really good appreciation for all the people that have supported us along the way. And that's a big part of why we stay with them. Not only is the product really strong, but the people that support the business and allow us to maneuver in the ways that we need to, in a seamless manner, really helps us grow and it helps us support our business. Having worked with them closely since 2019, the element of trust and the relationship is of utmost importance. And BitGo has worked with us to evolve our business, as mentioned, through the evolution of cold storage into staking and other products that we're looking at now. Further, BitGo has the trust license in South Dakota. That regulatory clarity and that backing, it provides a lot of confidence to our stakeholders and to us as well when we evaluate all of the different providers in the sector. So along those lines of trust and transparency is obviously leveraging really strong partners for certain elements of our business, custody being a large component of that. We custody over $2 billion of client assets on our platforms today, and ensuring that those assets are held in cold storage and kept very secure is of the utmost importance. And so when we think about the different options across the industry, certainly BitGo is one of the longest standing custodians in the market. So I've worked with them since 2019, and there's a long-standing track record there. Obviously a really strong relationship with our companies. When you're building up an exchange, trust and transparency and demonstrating that you have the right partners is key. In the early days, there was no regulation in place, and so we had to really demonstrate to regulators how we were conducting ourselves in a manner which would allow us to get regulatory clarity and licensing. And so having those key components in place was critical. Banking is obviously one element, but for these businesses, crypto custody is equally important. And so working with BitGo from an early stage really allowed us to demonstrate our commitment to doing things the right way, not only to regulators and our investors, but also to our clients as well. And so having those relationships and having that commitment as a business was really important. Our platforms from an early stage have always focused on transparency and regulation. We've had a long-term view on the market, and we've always known that regulation would play a large role in the evolution of this industry. And so our platforms have always focused on transparency for our users. BitBuy was the first platform in Canada to release a proof of reserve audits to its users, confirming their assets were held in cold storage on a one-to-one basis. CoinSquare was the first regulated crypto trading platform in the country. So we have a long-standing track record of trust and transparency for our users. And I think further to that, having now being owned by a publicly traded company just furthers that. Yeah, I think the exciting part for me, having been in this industry for over 7 years now, is just the continued evolution. We've seen the industry grow from the fringes to the mainstream. You think about the last year with the Bitcoin ETFs and the success they've had in the US, and now the excitement around regulation in the US, you're really starting to see the industry mature. And through that process, we've seen continued adoption and more people have interest in the asset class, which is really exciting when you think about the next 5 to 10 years as the industry becomes more mainstream. Certain elements that have been also on the fringes over the last little while, like DeFi and other applications, will continue to gain momentum and more popularity. So WonderFi has built up its presence in the Canadian market through the centralized exchange vertical. We've acquired 5 regulated crypto trading platforms in Canada. We've consolidated them onto a single tech stack, operating under 2 brands, BitBuy and CoinSquare. BitGo is one of the, if not the top choice for us when it comes to custodying our client assets. We've worked with BitGo to evolve our business. When you think about the evolution, we launched support for staking about 2 years ago, working hand in hand with the regulators and BitGo to really walk them through how we could do this in a regulatory compliant manner, all the while safekeeping our client assets. And so a big element of that with BitGo was maintaining those assets in cold storage. And so that's another example of how BitGo's been able to help our business evolve over the years while maintaining the safekeeping of our client assets.